are now listening to Mr. Z Blackneffect.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Look, I have no excuses. Mr. Z was out here. Yeah, y'all already know. Do not put in the comments. Reckless streams rules are in effect. Don't put in the comments. You will get sniped. Right? So, as y'all can see on the title, and this might be a series. I'll be saying that about a bunch of stuff. I know. Z, this might be a series pile is insane. I know, and it's piling up even more, right? But unchecked female antagonism. So we have a couple of links. We have a couple of screen records that we're going to cover. Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily, which made my job a whole lot easier covering. And you know, other brothers are beating me to the punch. Covering some of this insanity. Let's give a bit of commentary before we get underway. What I would argue is going on is we've reached a market cap of encouraging the women to go to college, get their degrees, outpace the men, outdo the men, antagonize the men, not that part really. And just generally anything you can do, I can do better for the women. At least for the technocrats, and that's on the left and the right, although the left has a different answer, not a real one. They see that we've reached a market cap of that. We've reached a market cap. Too many young men have decided to be minimalists. Too many young men have decided, well, if I ain't gonna get a agreeable, kind woman who's on my program, I just won't play the game, or I will just literally just do what I need to do to sustain myself, right? That's not good enough. This society, this system needs you to overproduce, right? And Earl says fair use 3 times, and you already know fair use, it's coming, right? So, but yeah, so this system needs you to overproduce. Now, what is interesting now is watching as the left tries to move young men in particular. These are your about 18 to 30-year-olds, but even younger than that, your young men, your boys also. So these are your 10-year-olds to your 18-year-olds, right? Your adolescents, your 13 to 18, right? Why do these people matter? Because the girls are assholes and the young women are assholes. And the left answer for that is to pretend like it's not a thing, or to minimize it, or to say the women would change their behavior if the boys and the men change their behavior first. What we will not speak about is women and girls hypocrisy. What we will not speak about is women and girls and their investment in the patriarchy. What we will not speak about is women and girls wanting boys and men to be men, but wanting it for the cheap or the discount, right? Unchecked female antagonism, as y'all can see from the background, is this. It is women talking crazy. It is women being insulting to men. It is women engaging in, well,
a nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
It's women engaging in that. It's women engaging in that. And then being honest on the back end sometimes, very rarely, very, very rarely, that they can't take what they dish out.
Fortunately, when it comes to my man, I cannot take what I dish out. I be so mean to my man, but the one minute he raised his voice or even seemed like he upset with me, I just start busting out crying. Because no, you're not about to, like, no, you're not about to do that to me. No. I don't care. No, I cannot take what I dish out. No. Don't do that to me. No. I've been talking about his whole motherfucking family, cuss everybody out. But if he even say like one little thing, I will bust out in tears. Like, please don't do that. Like, please, no. I can't handle it. Like, I really can't handle it.
Right? So shout out to that young lady for actually saying the truth Not shout out to her for actually engaging in the behavior, but shout out to her for actually saying the truth, right? And saying what it is and being honest. And by the way, I would argue, at least for millennials and up, definitely mid-age millennials and up, we know this. Now, for younger millennials and younger, I don't know if they know it. And if they do, as I've said multiple times, they gonna hold you to it, to the system, definitely to Western society, to America. You told these young men that these girls are equal to them, if not better than them, and they're gonna hold you to that. They're going to treat those women equal. And we already know there's been studies on this. When you treat women equal, when men treat women equal, women see it as sexist. Women see men treating women equal as men being sexist. There's been studies on this. I'm going to actually have to show it on one of these streams for all my doubters and naysayers. Huh? The boys are stupid, throw rocks at them. The boys have cooties, throw rocks at them. The antagonism, the unchecked female antagonism. And that's once again because
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
And that's how the ladies, that's the ladies on the internet. That's the ladies in the dating scene. We already know about foodie calls. A third of women admit that they engage in foodie calls. For those of you that don't know what a foodie call is, literally food. The women are going out on dinner dates with men they have no intention on doing anything with. I'm not speaking about just sexually. They don't find him interesting. They're not attracted to him. They're only going on the date because it's either an exclusive restaurant. They're broke. They need a free meal. They're bored. Huh? But they have no intent. This will not escalate to anything else. They are going strictly because, once again, they're bored or they're broke. Huh? Or they want to try out this new spot. If a third of women are admitting to engaging in that, then you know it's at least half. 70%, 75%. Oops. Why is Mr. Z bringing that up? The women and the girls are engaging in antagonistic behavior and rhetoric, and then running behind the technocrats that may or may not believe them. Most of y'all don't believe them, but y'all use them as a buffer class. The technocrats and the social designers and their literal dads and the simp-ass men in society, and play, ooh, I'm scared. The men and the boys are scaring me, and they're so sexist. Huh? Oh boy. So we're gonna play this. Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Excuse me. I need that clip. I know you've made mention of it, BGS. I need that clip. And BGS says equality looks different when you are the one writing the check. Once again, equality looks different when you are the one writing the check. Right? And BGS makes reference to one of these divorce stories that he was watching, and the lady had to be the one, she was the one who had to pay alimony, and she said something along the lines, once again, of equality looks different when you are the one writing the check. Once again, women never really meant it. I want you to appreciate this. FD signifier, foreign man in a foreign land, all those white simp-ass dudes or pretend play simp-ass dudes, they know this. They know this. They playing in your face, young men. They're playing in your face, men. They're playing in your face, white men, black men, Latino men, Asian men, working class men, lower middle class men, working poor men. Because once you get to middle class and up, you're more likely to be married. You're more likely to stay married, especially when you get to upper middle class and up. Huh? They're giving you, this is their way of attempting to have you cope with an environment that says you don't get that. As FD signifier said to yours truly, our first conversation, why do y'all want that? For those of you that didn't know, yes, Mr. Z has had 2 conversations with FD Signifier. And in the first conversation, FD Signifier said to me, when I overheard his sons in the background, I said, that's all we want, FD, that's all we're looking for. And he says, yeah, but why do y'all want that? Sit like a classist asshole, an educated classist asshole. It's all right, but it's part of the patriarchy, that coping talk. Huh? Which, by the way, is what the ladies sell to other women. Exhibit A.
Because I think that kind of, whereas the manosphere is based around dominating and breaking women down. I think a lot of men would really benefit in their younger years from learning how to be a little bit more like girls.
Oh my goodness. This is embarrassing. Really embarrassing. A new poll and research comes out confirming that women, particularly young women, have a negative view of men and are more radical than the manosphere.
Unlike endless coverage of the manosphere and the trouble with men, this is maybe the first investigation I've seen looking into what's going on with young women. One thing it captures well is the real divide in outlooks between young men and young women.
You would think that when these so-called experts come on these platforms to discuss these issues, they would reason from a biological standpoint. But no, they don't just dance around it. They expect men to go against their nature on top of it. But what else do you expect from an effeminist? Let's dive into the first baloney this effeminist is spitting.
I was a lot less surprised by the idea that heterosexuality is in crisis, and more and more young women in particular are not wanting to get married, are deprioritizing relationships with men in their lives. I think what we are seeing is that women are on strike until conditions improve. And there's so many different reasons, I think, for why not only the situation as women perceive it has declined so much, but also that women are responding differently to what they might see as some of the shortfalls of men and getting into relationships with men.
Ha! Keyword, differently. And this is where the delusion comes in. Women on strike until conditions improve? This effeminist just mentioned what this poll clearly states. Women's pessimism, despite doing economically better than men.
But it was somewhat surprising to me that women under 30...
Let's pause right there. And once again, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. I will say this to Manosphere Highlights Daily. I would argue that the issue the ladies have is that the young men are not playing their patriarchal role for nothing, so that they could call you a good person, not a good man. Remember, we're not talking like that no more. Your everyday man, not the guys they're chasing after, not Chisel Chin Chad or Chisel Chin Tyrone, not tall, charismatic Tyrone or Chisel Chin Chad, Bartholomew III, not those guys. No, those guys smashed them for the free, for the nothing. Those guys smashed them just because they showed up. Nope. All the rest of us. Why can't you just be in community with her for her mere presence? Why can't you participate in community with her for her mere presence? Why can't she put you in the friend zone? Why can't you be the community eunuch? Shout out to Obsidian. When conditions improve is, I would argue, women not having to literally lift a finger in any labor they don't deem fit. Never being uncomfortable. Greasing the skids, giggity, greasing the skids as much as possible, where she doesn't have to overextend herself at all. You're dealing with lazy bums. It's fascinating that we can call men lazy bums. We can imply it, we can suggest it, and we can outright say it all across the West, all across the planet. We will call a lazy man a lazy bum. We will identify it. We will say it. And at scale, we will say how too many men not participating in society or becoming recluse, what the societal problem is. But when we see it in women at scale, all of a sudden we're asking the men, demanding the men, do more. What? It's like the term man up. There is no equivalent for women up. There is no equivalent. There is none. There is no female equivalent for man up. The ladies are lazy bums. How you gonna call them lazy bums? They're going to school and they're getting their education. I said they're lazy bums. Typing up a 10 and 15-page paper last minute and turning it in and possibly getting a B is cakewalk compared to raising a child and putting that child life first for the next, I don't know, for the rest of your life. They're lazy bums. Why is Mr. Z including this with boys are stupid, throw rocks at them? Because it's about being antagonistic. You have elite women who are talking like this, but they're still getting married, having kids, all the other good stuff, right? But what they are doing, is they're still using the rhetoric. And actually, I didn't play it, I don't have it recorded, but the young lady that Manosphere Highlights Daily is emphasizing, the young lady with the green dress, she's engaged, everyone. She's engaged. Once again, married women talking crazy about men engaging in the gender war. I see you, girl, while they run off in the sunset, while they sail off in the sunset with their husband. Ooh. And they leave the rest of the women with nothing but they vibrators and antagonistic talk and air quotes community of other women, other single cat ladies. Say what? Huh? So we're going to play that again. But remember, this lady is engaging in...
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Whereas the manosphere is based around dominating and breaking women down. I think a lot of men would really benefit in their younger years from learning how to be a little bit more like girls.
Oh my goodness. This is embarrassing. Really embarrassing. A new poll and research comes out confirming that women, particularly young women, have a negative view of men and are more radical than the manosphere.
But unlike endless coverage of the manosphere and the trouble with men, this is maybe the first investigation I've seen looking into what's going on with young women. One thing it captures well is the real divide in outlooks between young men and young women.
You would think that when these so-called experts come on these platforms to discuss these issues, they would reason from a biological standpoint. But no, they don't just dance around it. They expect men to go against their nature on top of it. But what else do you expect from an effeminist? Let's dive into the first baloney this effeminist is spitting.
Ain't that a man?
I was a lot less surprised by the idea that heterosexuality is in crisis, and more and more young women in particular are not wanting to get married, are deprioritizing relationships with men in their lives. I think what we are seeing is that women are on strike until conditions improve. And there's so many different reasons, I think, for why not only the situation as women perceive it has declined so much, but also that women are responding differently to what they might see as some of the shortfalls of men and getting into relationships with men.
Ha! Keyword, differently. And this is where the delusion comes in. Women on strike until conditions improve? This effeminist just mentioned what this poll clearly states. Women's pessimism, despite doing economically better than men.
But it was somewhat surprising to me that women under 30 seem to be doing relatively better in the economy in terms of they're less likely to be unemployed, but they have less favorable views of the economic system. That kind of is somewhat not intuitive. You would think if you're doing better in an economy, you would be more favorable of the economic system. But what we're seeing here is that women are, yes, doing relatively better compared to men in their age group, but that doesn't mean that they think of capitalism favorably and all of this, which is, quite an interesting thing.
Why are you somewhat surprised? As a woman, you should know that women cannot be satisfied. This is what feminism wanted. Equal opportunity? Got it. Equal pay? Got it. Outperforming men economically and educationally? Got it. And you're still not happy.
Why I got everything I wanted and I'm still not happy.
Why? Because now hypergamy kicks in. You don't want to date down. You want a man who earns more than you. But the pool of men who earn more than you is shrinking because you're out earning them. You wanted to compete with men. Now you're winning, and winning feels like losing because now you realize work is work. You're gonna have to keep doing it until it's game over. No prince, no retirement, no I can't stay home with the kids. Just the grind forever. So now you have a problem with capitalism, not because it's unfair, because it's hard. And instead of admitting that maybe, just maybe, the tradwife fantasy had some benefits you threw away too quickly, you blame the system. That's not economics. That's buyer's remorse. You bought the effinest dream.
Why does this matter? And once again, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Because your female technocrats, your teachers, your professionals, your professors, your academia, mass media, whether that's print, whether that's visual, music, all your tastemakers, your celebrities, all of the women, that young women and just women in general, all across the West, all across America, the women that other women listen to and more often than not look up to. That's everyone from your entertainers and your celebrities all the way across to your academics and intellectuals. None of them are telling women exactly what I'm saying and Manosphere Highlights Daily is saying. You cannot be equal and special simultaneously, ladies. You run into the wall that you can't practice hypergamy at a certain point. The women throw a fit. A few years ago, it was 2/3 of men never earn more than $65,000 a year in their life in America. I would argue now it's more like 70, right? 2/3 of men not earning more than $70,000 a year. Ladies, once you start earning $70,001, one penny, $1, $70,001 a year in America, guess what? That means you're earning more than about 2/3 of men. For black women, not just black men, men. Good luck. That means just on the income, we didn't even speak about looks yet and height and whatever other requirement you have. Charisma, political affiliation, whether y'all just like each other's vibe. We didn't count any of that yet. We just said the money. If you're a woman earning over $70,000 and you want to practice hypergamy, financially, you already knock out 2/3 of men. The technocrats, your tastemakers, like none of them is saying this to women. So of course the women are losing their minds, especially for the high earning women, the upwardly mobile women, the industrious women. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on striving. The strivers, the toxic ambition. Yeah, they're going to throw a fit. And then they're going to start sounding like Chansley. What's her name? Chansley. What's her name? The white chick. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Handler. Whatever the hell her name is. The one that is pretending like she's okay and she doesn't need anything and she does what she want to do. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Chansley Handler. Whatever. What is her name? Somebody gonna say her name. You start sounding like her. You start sounding like these other women. I just do what I want to do. I travel. I go where I want to go, and I do who I want to do, and I smoke out, and You start. Yeah, Chelsea. I want to say Chelsea Handler so bad, but yeah, her. You start sounding like her. You start sounding like Regina Hall, who when she turned 50, she made a whole skit and song about it. Talking about how her vagina is still the bomb at 50 years old. All of this is coping talk. You would think extra women and boomer women who have gone through it, who might be successful, would inform their daughters or inform the younger women, the millennials and the Gen Z, and maybe even some of the oldest of alphas. But they're not. They continue the antagonism. They actually engender in their daughters and their nieces, in the air quotes younglings, the young women, they engender even more antagonism towards men and boys, males. Huh? Y'all think all these women are happy being single for real? You don't think they get horny? You don't think they get lonely? Huh? Or is it that they're being encouraged to stick to the script?
Because getting a man is not hard. Can we? Truly. Okay, no matter what happens with my relationship status, getting a man is not an accomplishment in 2023. And it also pisses me off. And this is why, like, Brittany is really fucking setting the free 30-something women the fuck back, okay? You're embarrassing us. Okay? And this is why I will always respect Amber Rose. Because to this day, Amber Rose is like, I'll take your fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. I do what I want to do. Sometimes it's a little cringy, but I'm going to stand on my shit. I'm going to own it. I love this. Whatever. She never switched up. Brittany's doing exactly. She's doing exactly what the manosphere niggas talk about. Okay? Which is, you have a bad experience with a wealthy, high-profile person. You have a baby. You get dragged through the mud. And then you realize you're in your early 30s. This is their narrative. Their narrative is then you have a baby, you get dragged through the mud, and then you realize, oh, the clock is ticking. And so now you have to completely rebrand into a loud and proud pick me and scold other women about what they're not doing to get them in. That is exactly what they say. Why would stop embarrassing us? Stop embarrassing us. As a single 33-year-old woman, stop it, okay? You know, I hope she at least, you know, gets man she desires. I hope she gets some, you know, good, faithful dick to swoop in or whatever, pay her car note or whatever.
This is what holding the line, unchecked female antagonism looks like. What you saw with Kim Foster here was her checking Brittany Renner for not holding the line. Unchecked female antagonism is what allows for Kim Foster to attempt to check Brittany Renner about not holding the line, because holding the line means you speak about men like they're a burden. Huh? You have to qualify men. You're not just, oh, I love him and you know, I like him and this is who I'm with. No. You have to speak about your man as if, you know, he's different. He's an exception, because, you know, the masses of men are trash, right? But I have one of those few that's the exception. So give me a pass for this one. This one, you know, I vetted. Unchecked female antagonism is how you get a Kim Foster. Boys are stupid, throw rocks at them. You're not supposed to do anything for the express pleasure of men, especially black men. Oh my God. Huh? When Brittany Renner is saying, hey, maybe you want to be in the gym 3 or so, 4 times a week, what ends up happening is that Kim Foster says, F that. First of all, Kim Foster don't got it. She's not one of the women that it would help. Oops. Secondly, Kim Foster is, we're not doing anything for men. That's not what we do here. And you as a woman encouraging other women to care about the male gaze, G-A-Z-E, the male gaze, especially black men in the male gaze. Are you crazy? Unchecked female antagonism. Huh? And what Kim Foster was engaging in there was,
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
huh? That's what she was engaging in. And what we're listening to from Manosphere Highlights Daily as he's covering this is a woman who's engaged to be married to a man, excusing other women, young women's hatred of men. That's what she's engaging in. Unchecked female antagonism. And we're going to get to the good part. Unchecked female antagonism allows for a woman who's engaged to say, you know what, my husband's different. He's a special bunch. But for all you other women, I'm with you in spirit. I get it. I'm with you in spirit. You continue to fight. Huh? I'm gonna give you all the copium so you can cope with being single and possibly childless. Huh? And we already know I have the data. I'm going to cover it. Now we're finding out 50% of women who get to 30 and don't have children. Oh, when you get to 30 as a woman and you don't have children, you're 50-50 whether you're going to have children. When you get to 35, it drops down to 25% whether you're going to ever have children. When you get to 40, it drops down to 7% whether you're ever going to have children. And so you have not the majority of women yet. Actually, no, we're pretty much there, right? But it's still on that teetering line. I think it's like 52% or something like that. Something around there. Where they're getting to these ages without children. It ain't looking good. That's why you see the West, the white people, that's why you see the West in panic mode. Particularly America. Y'all encourage the BS for too long. You use the woman as a buffer class for too long to all you elites, both on the left and the right. It sounded good to keep on blowing smoke up your daughter's rear end for the past 6 and 7 decades. It sounded good, and now look. 6, 7 decades, now your basic ass daughters earning $50,000 and $60,000 a year telling you they don't want to have kids. Your lineage ends there. Ooh. Huh? To all the white men especially. Yeah. You kept talking crazy about the young men. And if you're a white man, 80% chance, 85, 90% chance, you racist as anti-black. And so your daughter had a little professional degree and she doing all right in life and she earning maybe 75, 80 and ain't no man on her level. And guess what? You got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel. Shout out to Jason Black. And you still don't got no grandkids. Ah. Huh? And that's how you encourage the BS. We're not even going to talk about how your ex-wife encouraged the BS too. Ooh. We're not even going to talk about how she encouraged your daughter down this road. Huh? And once again, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Continuing.
Whereas the manosphere is based around dominating and breaking women down. I think a lot of men would really benefit in their younger years from learning how to be a little bit more like girls.
Oh my goodness. This is embarrassing. Really embarrassing. A new poll and research comes out confirming that women, particularly young women, have a negative view of men and are more radical than the manosphere.
But unlike endless coverage of the manosphere and the trouble with men, this is maybe the first investigation I've seen looking into what's going on with young women. One thing it captures well is the real divide in outlooks between young men and young women.
You would think that when these so-called experts come on these platforms to discuss these issues, they would reason from a biological standpoint. But no, they don't just dance around it. They expect men to go against their nature on top of it. But what else do you expect from an effeminist? Let's dive into the first baloney this effeminist is spitting.
I was a lot less surprised by the idea that heterosexuality is in crisis, and more and more young women in particular are not wanting to get married, are deprioritizing relationships with men in their lives. I think what we are seeing is that women are on strike until conditions improve. And there's so many different reasons, I think, for why not only the situation as women perceive it has declined so much, but also that women are responding differently to what they might see as some of the shortfalls of men and getting into relationships with men.
Ha! Keyword, differently. And this is where the delusion comes in. Women on strike until conditions improve? This effeminist just mentioned what this poll clearly states. Women's pessimism, despite doing economically better than men.
But it was somewhat surprising to me that women under 30 seem to be doing relatively better in the economy in terms of they're less likely to be unemployed, but they have less favorable views of the economic system. That kind of is somewhat not intuitive. You would think if you're doing better in an economy, you would be more favorable of the economic system. But what we're seeing here is that women are, yes, doing relatively better compared to men in their age group, but that doesn't mean that they think of capitalism favorably and all of this, which is, quite an interesting thing.
Why are you somewhat surprised? As a woman, you should know that women cannot be satisfied. This is what feminism wanted. Equal opportunity? Got it. Equal pay? Got it. Outperforming men economically and educationally? Got it. And you're still not happy.
Why I got everything I wanted and I'm still not happy.
Why? Because now hypergamy kicks in. You don't want to date down. You want a man who earns more than you. But the pool of men who earn more than you is shrinking because you're out earning them. You wanted to compete with men. Now you're winning, and winning feels like losing because now you realize work is work. You're gonna have to keep doing it until it's game over. No prince, no retirement. No, I can't stay home with the kids. Just the grind forever. So now you have a problem with capitalism, not because it's unfair, because it's hard. And instead of admitting that maybe, just maybe, the tradwife fantasy had some benefits you threw away too quickly, you blame the system. That's not economics. That's buyer's remorse. You bought the effingest dream. Now you're stuck with the receipt. And the return policy? There isn't one.
And so women are like, look, the one thing I actually need from you is emotional availability, emotional intimacy, and emotional connection. And that is the one thing that men have just not been socialized on how to provide. It's the one thing that men are not taught how to do. I don't think when you look at the way that young boys are raised, that they are taught to really prioritize connection and prioritize the work of connection, whether it's with their partners, with their friends, or even with themselves. And so a lot of women are like, well, if you're not going to provide for me the thing that I actually want from you, then I'm just going to build a life that doesn't require having a male partner in it.
See, this is basically what the Carlton Banks video was about. She's right about one thing. Women can provide for themselves now. The stigma of being single is gone. So the old contract, man provides, woman appreciates, is dead. But here's what she misses. Biology.
But I did everything.
Think about the men who did everything right. Education, stability, loyalty, emotional availability. The guys who would connect with you, listen, be there. And the culture laughed at them, called them soft, lame, simp, jutsu masters, not real men. So now women say they want emotional connection. But for decades, the men who offered that were ridiculed for it. The men who were stable, respectful, open, they were the punchline. The men who were cold, dangerous, unpredictable, they were the fantasy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And I think that the key message there is that this rugged capitalistic individualism is not going to liberate you. What is going to liberate you is actually, there's so much Fox News discourse about the wussification of men, but I think that there is part of I think a lot of men would really benefit in their younger years from learning how to be a little bit more like girls in the sense of how to prioritize connection and how to see yourself as interdependent with and responsible for and accountable to and cared for and caring towards other people.
What? The foolishness. You see, this is what we're talking about. These so-called experts dance around biology and also don't acknowledge the research that debunks the delusion of women being more caring than men. Why do you want to change men into something they are not? Don't you?
Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily once again. Manosphere Highlights Daily appreciate this when they're speaking about boys being raised to be girls so that you could be a community eunuch. So you don't think about XXX bedroom fund. You don't think about, okay, I did this for her, I did that for her, I did this for her. I'm a good boy, right? Don't I get some vagina now? No, you're a community eunuch. She's waiting in line for whoever the hell. She's ticket number 863 for whoever the hell. Huh? I would argue, what we're trying to get young men to do now is to be okay with no vagina. Participate in community, right? Befriend women, do for women, and expect nothing at all. And be okay with their presence and them putting you in the friend zone. Huh? This is how the left, and primarily, is responding to young men saying, well, if I'm going to get antagonistic, asshole, mean, snarky, rude, potentially baby mama, overweight, mean, if I'm going to get that, I'll just bow out. And if it was just one young man, the system wouldn't even notice. 10 young men don't notice. The problem is at scale, this is a problem for the West in general, for white folks, even for black folks, for the West, once again in general, and for America. Too many young men said, for what? What's the incentive? And so the left answer to this is, okay, we need to raise them and socialize them more to be like the girls, because girls care about friendship and community, and they're not looking for reciprocation on that level. BS, by the way. Bullcrap, but okay, fine, for argument's sake. And if we socialize them, and notice what she said at the end, to care about community, to participate here and do this, and all of that is BS feminist talk for play this game, and maybe if you lucky, you might get some nookie. Probably not. Huh? They're attempting to re-socialize the boys, the undesirables. Huh? The young men and the boys, the undesirables, the non-select, to be okay with being non-select. So that's why these young men, the non-desirables, it's okay if you gender fluid. It's okay if you LGBTQ. It don't matter. We wasn't checking for you anyway. That's what the ladies are on. It's okay if you impersonating me. I wasn't checking for you anyway. Huh? So you being a community eunuch and you out here sashaying with a skirt on, great. Huh? Unless if the dude I find attractive is into little strange things with cross dressing, then the women feel a certain way. That's when they feel a certain way. But if the dude they're attracted to is not on that, then yeah, great. Huh? That's how the ladies, that's what's here. That's what's going on in the mind. The problem is the people that should be pushing them to be honest and pressing them to be honest and being honest with them also, it's not happening. It's this weird dance right now between the elites and the technocrats and the masses of women, where we both lying to each other, right? And we're both not saying the thing and not asking the right questions. And we're both selling each other copium. Yeah. And Big Mo says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Big Mo says, she basically said, quote, we need to brainwash the men. Yeah, the young men, of course. If the young men see the environment and they see how mean and toxic it is, remember what we're covering here at the basis of this conversation, at the foundation of this conversation, is the recent information, which we already knew, the recent study that showed that, oh man, at least in the UK, but we know it's similar in the US, young women have negative views towards young men in ways that young men don't have negative views towards young women. Young women actually hate young men. And they're more rigid on what would make them more likely to like individual young men. So what you see here, especially with the young lady with the green dress, is her doubling down and finding or looking for excuses why it's okay for young women to hate young men. But once again, you're talking about a woman who's engaged right now. How convenient. Once again, I'm with you in spirit. I'm encouraging you from the sidelines. I was just where you are. Yes, you're right. The men are trash. Be okay with being single, possibly indefinitely for the rest of your life. Be okay with maybe never having kids. Yeah, because the men are that trash. Me, on the other hand, no, I'm going to go get married. Probably going to have kids, 1 or 2 or 3. She's in the UK. Maybe 1 or 2. Huh? Oh, man. Yes, Big Mo, she basically said, We need to brainwash them. But all of the elites are saying that right now, on the right and the left politically. They're all saying that right now. Because too many men, particularly the young men, are looking out on the landscape and they're saying, okay, I'm being crushed by inflation. The West is waning. America is waning. And I don't even get some enthusiastic nookie that appreciate me. Oh, absolutely not. I'm out. I'm tapping out. Yeah, I might still work. Yes, I might still participate in this society, but I will be just as selfish as the women. I will only focus on me. I won't have any kids. And at scale, that's a problem because the men are supposed to overproduce. The young men are supposed to have vitality. Huh? They're supposed to challenge and nudge the system that way and this way and maneuver through. They're supposed to be apprentice. Huh? And when too many young men, because it's not all, it's just too many. When too many young men say, what's the incentive? You got a problem. Huh? Too many young men. And Azrael says, LOL, are you talking about MJ Gray? I'm talking about the young lady in the green dress. I don't know if you know her name. Yeah, I don't know enough about her. I don't know anything actually outside of what I see just right now. And Azrael also says, have you heard about her? No, I have not. If you're talking about the same person I'm talking about. Right? And once again, Big Mo, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And I'm Waffle says, sports is the vehicle used to teach boys those skills. Yes, a competition and all this other stuff, right? How to be a team, teamwork, leadership, right? Getting over your feelings and still getting the task done, right? Working through pain, discipline. Wow. And Detroit says MJ Gray is her name. Okay. Thank you. What do y'all know? Els Active says the like ratio is despicable. Y'all trying me right now. Y'all look. I like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Let me see what it looked like, Els. Let me see what it looked like. $96 watching and not even 40 likes. Oh man, I must be doing something right if I got this many hate watchers. Which one of y'all is a technocrat writing down notes? Who here is government or NGO affiliated or work for them and writing down notes? If y'all pay, I'll give y'all this information. Pay. Hit my email. Pay up. Stop getting free game. Oh man. But Bruce Wayne says something like, y'all still the internet. Y'all still in the game right now. And so once again, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. But as I guess her name is MJ Gray is speaking. What is she saying again, Z?
A nigga like me, man. I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Huh? Oh man. But let's be very clear once again. What the ladies are. That's what they saying. And that's what MJ Gray is saying. But what the ladies are truly is this.
Fortunately, when it comes to my man, I cannot take what I dish out. I be so mean to my man, but the one minute he raised his voice or even seemed like he upset with me, I just start busting out crying. Because no, you're not about to, like, no, you're not about to do that to me. No. I don't care. No, I cannot take what I dish out. No. Don't do that to me. No. I've been talking about his whole motherfucking family, cuss everybody out. But if he even say like one little thing, I will bust out in tears. Like, please don't do that. Like, please, no. I can't handle it. Like, I really can't handle it.
unchecked female antagonism. Huh? You gotta appreciate she actually said it. Huh? And I am Waffles. Once again, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So let's work on the second part of this. But before we get to that, MJ Gray is not the only one. And it's a lot of these women who do this. They rah, talk all this crap about men. All this anti-patriarchy talk. All this, the men are insecure, the men are losers, the men are mean, the men are sexist. Huh? Body shaming and all this other rhetoric. Negging women, all this stuff they accuse men of. You have all these influencers, all these commentators that speak about men in that particular way. But how are they playing the game in their personal life?
Wait, I'm about to play the videos, but this woman's facing backlash because she built her platform on telling women never to get married, that it was a trap and oppression just for her to end up getting married. I keep telling y'all, miserable single women keep other women single.
I'm engaged to the same person who made several videos saying that I never had any plans to get married.
I don't want to be anybody's girlfriend and not somebody's wife.
Wait, before I play the next video, she then tries to lie and say she never criticized women for getting married or told them not to. Is this you?
I feel like you shouldn't get married. I really wish women would stop getting married. Marriage is an antiquated idea that I believe oppresses women. Unrefutably has a history and an origination in the oppression of women.
And guess what? That was literally just a few months ago, bruh. There's more videos, but basically because she was miserable, she decided to try to promote and criticize women into not getting married. That was made to oppress and put down women. But just like the city girls, the minute they find somebody that like them, all of a sudden that ideology doesn't exist anymore. Now, women online are calling her out for basically manipulating them. But real issue is, why were y'all being a follower and listening to her tell y'all be single? These content creators just feed into y'all delusions to make them money, bro, until it doesn't benefit them anymore.
No, I see what you're saying, brother, but in reality, it's bigger than that. Pause. And deeper than that. Giggity. Okay, Z. All right, chill. What it is, I would argue, is that the everyday woman wants to hear this. They want to hear it from an attractive woman. They want to hear it from an articulate woman. They want to hear it from a woman who's traveling. They want to hear it from a woman who they, more often than not, see as an ideal. That way they can feel better about it. It's not just me. Look, the pretty girls are saying the same thing. The successful girls are saying the same thing. The intelligent girls are saying the same thing. It's not just because I'm overweight, or it's not because of my class position, or it's not because of... It feels good to them to have someone give them the cope that's on that level. You see this with a number of those content creators. That's where Chrissy come in. That's where Real Talk with Yanni come in. That's where when Paris Malone was making content. Huh? That's where a bunch of these little antagonistic white and Latina women, particularly white women, come in. If a woman from that class is saying the same thing, then it couldn't be me. It's the men. It's something about male culture. Huh? Not only that, let's be very clear. They're psyching themselves out with the copium talk. It is, you can't fire me, I quit. I know I'm a little antagonistic asshole. Once again, the title for today's stream is Unchecked Female Antagonism. I know I'm a little antagonistic asshole. It don't look like I'm marriage material. I'm too mean, I'm too rude, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too rigid. I'm too stubborn. So I don't want marriage anyway. What you have is them across the West, across the developing world. Yes, the men are being priced out of playing a particular husband role, and the women want that man to play that role. It has nothing to do with a lack of emotional intelligence. It's the money. And no, you can't make up for the money and women's delusional hypergamy with a man just being an air quotes good man. It's not good enough. Continuing. What you have are women selling other women copium. They're selling the copium to themselves and they're selling it to other women. We done made ourselves so delusional. Huh? We done made ourselves so unmarriageable that now we got to sell ourselves the cope to deal with potentially never coupling up with a man for more than 9 months, 18 months. So I'm doing you a favor, I'm doing myself a favor, and y'all are doing me a favor. So we're all in this stew together, selling each other copium. Huh? And so you see that with the white lady I just played, and who y'all telling me what's her name again? MJ what? So she's doing this to MJ Gray. MJ Gray. These women are engaged, they're married. Remember, Paris Milan hid her marriage for how long? Until she was going to get exposed, or until she got exposed? Yeah, you better believe it. Because they are still participating in.
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Exactly. Huh? So once again, we're going to do this. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Huh? So y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Continuing.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the both the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, you know, competition, domination kind of attitude. You know, Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually...
Fundamentally, these people talk community and they talk society and they have this idea. They talk as if they're actually talking about nation and society, but they're not. Because, madam, here's a real question. What's the point of women making money if women are looking, if they're heterosexual and want to be with men and want to have long-term relationships or married, if they're still looking to practice hypergamy? What's the point? That's a real question for all the technocrats. What's the point of you earning your 50, 60 if now you're so delusional with your 60 grand a year that the man got to be making 80, 100, 150? And y'all are gun-ho on that. Y'all mean that to the point where y'all are not getting married and having children. What's the point? Now, Mr. Z is not about making women barefoot and pregnant and making women desperate. Mr. Z don't know about desperate vagina. It's not my thing. With that, what's the point of the 50 and the 60 and the 70 grand a year for you if now your bar is at impossible? See, it's not about you individually, madam, Miss MJ Gray. It's about women at scale. And once again, let me say this again for the 1 zillionth time to all the technocrats and tastemakers. You are not going to fix women's delusion and hypergamy with men being good men, with men being emotionally intelligent and practicing domestic labor around the home. The women file for divorce for money, at least in America. I don't know about the UK. The number one reason for divorce in America is the money. In other words, you're not fixing that because you're helping around the house. You're cleaning up the restroom. You're washing dishes. You're washing clothes. That's not what's going to keep her. You're going to fix women, or you're going to watch the West, mainly white people, fall into oblivion. And I guess in the next century, we will have Chinese last names. In the century after that, we will have Igbo and Yoruba and Zulu last names. Oh, well. Huh? I guess this century and maybe the beginning of next century, we all gonna be walking around here with some Chinese last names. Huh? With Han Chinese last names. Maybe a Cantonese Chinese last name here and there. Huh? Possibly a Taiwanese last name here and there. Depending on whether China can take them over or not. With that, yeah. And the century after that, it'll be some African last name. Hausa something. Yeah, to white folks into the West. Welcome to hell. You did this. You did this. To white folks, to all the technocrats, to all the racists, going back centuries, you did this. Definitely those of you over the past 70-ish years, you put the women in front, you use them as the buffer class because you're not afraid of them. You know they're not going to bust a grape in a food fight. And all you got to do is make sure the malls stay stocked and there's air quotes relative peace. And you know you got the women. You got them by the vagina. Grab them by the vagina. Trump knew what he was saying. Grab them by the vagina means make sure she could shop. See, that is not what Trump was talking about. I know. You got the women by the vagina. Just make sure she could shop. Make sure she has just enough disposable income to go to that mall at least once a month, once every other month. It won't even be that. She ain't going no once a month. She going every time she get paid. Maybe once a week. Maybe a couple of times a week. Anyway, make sure she can hit up Target or Walmart or buy her little knickknacks or order things online. Amazon packages coming to the door every day, every other day, every day. And don't worry, the women ain't going to challenge not a damn thing. And so the elites of the time made women the buffer class because they're not afraid of them. And here we are. Now the women are saying, let's get together so we could challenge the system. Y'all going to see when Mr. Z saying it together. Well, excuse me, I said that wrong. Y'all going to see what Mr. Z is speaking about in a minute. But the women are talking about getting together. There we go, Z. The women are now, let's challenge the system. No, go sit your ass down somewhere. No, suffer. Move out the way. Ain't no challenging the system together. Stop it. Shout out to the Black Panther women who actually was about that action back in the day. Because most women, white, black, Latina, Asian, and otherwise, they're not. Huh? Forget being shot. Forget rubber bullets. They're not even trying to get pepper spray. Forget pepper spray. They're not even trying to get the gas that go out and you can't breathe. They're not even trying to deal with that. Or the sound thing, that the microwave one, all the little new technology these people been coming out for the past couple decades. Those women ain't trying to be part of that. Most men ain't trying to be part of that, let alone the women. We ain't challenging nothing while you around. No, this is what, just like I said to the technocrats and the elites, women, this is what you wanted. Remember? This is what you wanted. Y'all remember when the whole Julian Assange thing was coming out and we finding out they're tapping our phones? Shout out to the US government. They're tapping our phones. And yeah, you had men saying, well, if you don't got anything to hide and you don't got anything to worry about. You remember there were men saying that, definitely, but it was mainly women. It was mainly women because y'all don't challenge nothing. Huh? The ultimate teacher's pet, women. Ain't challenging a damn thing. Especially if you could shop. Make sure she has her consumer goods in her baby luxury car. And she could get piped somewhere comfortable. She ain't challenging a damn thing. Huh? She get her weekends off. She could get piped somewhere comfortable. She could get her consumer goods, little retail therapy, and she good to go. Huh? Little comfortable 45, 50s, 55, 60, $70,000 a year job, she good to go. If she's a bit more ambitious, you give her $150 a year, you ain't gonna hear a peep from her. The only time she gonna get on your ass is when now she want to practice hypergamy at $150 a year. So she looking for the dude making 300, 300,000, 300 Z, 300, $300,000 a year plus, $250,000 a year plus. But if she could meet that dude, you won't hear from that lady again until she pass. The women ain't challenging nothing. Huh? Here the women are starving now, and they still looking at your average man like you in on it. Like your everyday man is sitting down with the elites and the tech. Let's step on the women. What are we gonna do to crush the women? Hey, to all of y'all in my chat right now, y'all do know you and Elon on speed dial with each other. You, Elon Trump, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, huh? JD Vance, Curtis Yarvin, huh? Pete Hegseth. I said Pete Hegseth. I still pronounced him wrong. Anyway. Right? We're all in one big chat talking about how we gonna step on women. That's how the ladies talk. Meanwhile, they're actually the buffer class. Huh? And Otis says, that's hysterical. Otis says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Otis says, they give more pushback on paternity tests. Bro, they're not challenging nothing. I want to stress that again. The women are challenging nothing. Absolutely nothing. And make themselves uncomfortable. Look, to be fair, the masses of men are not challenging either, but you better believe the women ain't gonna challenge. Now, they're not gonna bust a grape in a fruit fight. Absolutely not. The men don't want to be uncomfortable too in the West, especially in America. We done got too comfortable with our conveniences. But to be fair, the men could be shaken up out of that if the risks look great enough. If it's worth the risk. The women ain't doing I don't care if it's worth the risk. You ain't getting them to budge. We said it once on my channel. You tell them they're not going to be an AC build. The building ain't going to have AC. That's it. The women tapped out. They not going. Tell them no more hot showers and no more AC in those cubicles in those buildings. Huh? In those office buildings. It's done. She ain't challenging nothing. Let alone if you start telling American women, hey, y'all gonna, forget the $4 and $5 y'all paying for gas. We start challenging this to hurt us. You might be looking at $10, $12 a gallon of gas. That's if you could even get to the gas station. That's if you could even get gas. The women tapped out. They not going. They're not going. They're not challenging nothing. The women are telling you they don't want to have the kids. They don't want to have your kids just for the idea of slight inconvenience. They're not going. Huh? So that lets you know they're not challenging anything, yo. The women are going to hold on to the ship as the ship sinks. That's it. And that is why I would argue the system does not check them for their unchecked female antagonism. And once again, big O Otis, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Huh? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And no, I did not forget about you, Leon. Let's play this other part.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, and what these kind of a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a dog eat dog, competition, domination kind of attitude. The Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually looked at it from a different perspective and you said, look, what if men and women could come together and fight against an economy that requires people to have to exert these kind of power balances between one another, where, one group holds all the power financially and the other.
But let's actually address a couple of things. First, the women want powerful men. That's the aphrodisiac. Wait a minute. It's fascinating listening to women talk about women, and then you're like, wait a minute, isn't much of the complaint for women, particularly overly ambitious women, that there's not overly ambitious men? Isn't power aphrodisiac specifically for women? Huh? No? What are you talking about? Is power couple a man thing or a woman thing? Is it women? Is it men that's looking for the air quotes power couple, or is it women? What are you talking about? And once again, on the taking away women's financial freedom to force them to essentially be barefoot and pregnant is what she was saying. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Thank you, button, for the replay squad. Shout out to the replay squad and hype button. Please hit that hype button, please. Thank you. Continuing. Oh, not super chat. Cashapp. Cashapp looking kind of dry. That part too. Link in the description box. About the ladies being forced to be barefoot and pregnant, or trying to bring that about. Second, and she tried to emphasize that the women can do for themselves now. If the UK women are anything like the American women, no, they can't. No, they cannot. The women don't earn enough. The women are being subsidized by the system. And the women are looking to be subsidized later on in their life by the system, by the same men they turned their noses up at 15 and 20 and 25 and 30 years ago. They're looking for those men and who those men had children with. So the next generation that individual woman did not have, to subsidize them in the future. It's insanely selfish. The women are not earning enough. In America, median salary is $43,000 a year. Average salary is $64,000 a year. That's not enough. That's not enough. And you have to know, for the most part, the men are on the northern side of those numbers as the women are on the southern side of those numbers. $43,000 a year, that's not enough. The women don't earn enough. They're being subsidized. They're being subsidized by parents. They're being subsidized by the society. They're finding little ways to get in where they could fit in. The women don't earn enough. What are you talking about? At least in the US, and if it's like that in the US, you got to know it's the same in the UK. Y'all don't earn enough. It's fascinating listening to women speak, whether it's Ebony K. Williams or Dr. Cheyenne Bryant over here in the US, or whatever random white woman in the US, and then you hear the same thing in Canada, you hear the same thing in the UK. A handful of kick-ass women. This is what Mr. Z says. Say it with me now. The outliers are doing too much talking. Outlier women are doing too much talking. Y'all not actually earning enough. The masses of women, outlier women who are kick-ass, who are on camera, who are rich, who are famous, who are movers and shakers. Y'all talking like that's the masses of women. That's not the masses of women. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion. Man, we want y'all. We don't need y'all. We want y'all. Actually, the women is starving. No, the women need men. Huh? That's much of the reason why, to be fair, The system all across the West is trying to get the young men online and to overproduce. And actually, in certain ways, the system is trying to put the brakes on the women with this misandry. They're not doing a good job at it, though. Because, yeah, the women do need men. And the system needs men. And your society needs men. Because women are not overproducing. Women are overconsuming. Oops. Huh? Outliers are doing way too much talking. So Miss MJ, yeah, about that. Once again, the outliers are doing too much talking. What is this lady talking about? Continuing.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, you know, competition, domination kind of attitude. You know, Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually looked at it from a different perspective and you said, look, what if men and women could come together and fight against an economy that requires people to have to exert these kind of power balances between one another, where, you know, one group holds all the power financially and the other is reliant on them. Because, by the way, like, a loving and good relationship can never exist in a context of economic reliance, as far as I'm concerned, or economic dependence.
Yeah, and there is no romance without finance. Did you notice what she just did? She just exposed that women will not cooperate unless they have to. That's the whole point of the chaos we have today. Women want to have their cake and eat it too. That's why they're looking for an equal outcome instead of true.
I understand what you're saying, Manosphere highlights daily. But women like MJ are slick. They're not saying what women actually want. Upwardly mobile women who's earning good money, who are professional, who have so much more room to grow and become famous or rich or go further up in their craft or their career. What they're actually saying, and I would argue the masses of women who are not destitute financially, what they're actually saying, and this is what's messing up the entire society, because you're correct on the hypergamy, but let's let a woman say what it really is. Mr. Z's favorite clip of the year.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
Are you single?
Yes.
Why are you single right now?
Because the men are not enough rich to take care of me.
So you're looking for a rich man?
Yes. Yes, I want to be spoiled.
Why does he have to be rich?
Because I want to be spoiled. Because I make my own money and I need to be dominated.
The men are not more rich. The men don't earn even more. They don't earn even more than me. They might earn a couple of dollars more than me, but it's not enough more. You know? You have to appreciate, this is what it comes down to, everyone. Mr. Z gonna say it for the 1/0th time on my channel. The women have been sold autonomy and freedom and independence, and men being a burden, and having to wash behind him and clean behind him, and he's a big kid. And if he's not tall enough and good looking enough and the sex is not good enough, Mr. Z actually said the word, God damn it, then you have some considerations. Don't do it. That's what the ladies are being sold. Don't do it. Okay, fine. In that case, does he earn enough more for you to sacrifice your autonomy, your freedom? If he's going to be a big burden, because all the men are burdens. By the way, y'all, I'm now speaking about why millionaire men are married, or millionaires are married at some 80 some odd %, and less than a third of them ever get divorced. Because their wives did the calculation, whether overtly in their mind or not so much, more subtly, because she's afraid of her own thoughts and feelings. Is it worth leaving this man? Is it worth not marrying him? Okay, what I'm saying is women further down in the class structure said, I don't know. I could get knocked up by random. Maybe I have a little situationship here. Maybe I have a baby long-term relationship over there. A baby long-term relationship. What the hell? 1.5 years, maybe 2. But I get to be my own woman and I get to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it. Is it worth me sacrificing my autonomy? See, the MJs of the world are too cowardly to say it. Ooh, Z, you're going to say it again for the 1,000th time. Men of lower classes, you don't get that. So just be part of community and be our community eunuch. Yes, a handful of y'all will get married. Even less of y'all will actually stay married until death do us part. Yeah, most of y'all won't even be able to keep the long-term relationship without marriage. And when we say long-term, we mean over 5-6 years. It ain't gonna happen, even without the marriage certificate. So just be in community with us and be community eunuchs, and maybe every once in a while you'll get thrown some unenthusiastic obligation vagina. And there you go. Damn, Mr. Z, that went bleak and dark. I'm just saying. This is the copium they're selling men, young men. You want to know why young men are checking out? Because this is the copium that young working class men are being sold. The women are checking out because they can't practice hypergamy. It ain't fair. And the men are checking out because what's the incentive? And quite frankly, to be fair to the women are saying, what's the incentive too? Why have these degrees, and why did I work so hard in school, and why do I have to wake up and make sure I'm at work on time at 8:30 in the morning, and I got to deal with traffic going to work and coming from work, and then I got to deal with my boss fussing at me and maybe piping me on the low for extra raise. But why do all of that if I'm going to be with a man that earns like a few dollars less than me or even equal to me? Like, absolutely not. And the young men are saying, yeah, I don't want the consolation prize. Why would I want high mileage, unenthusiastic vagina? No. Okay, fine. It's not high mileage. Yeah, right. Why would I want to go through all the rigmarole for what? Huh? Oh, man. So continuing.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the both the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, competition, domination kind of attitude. The Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence. And
shout out to Donovan Sharp. That's womanese for look. If it was in the competition and dog eat dog, you would do for me for my mere presence because you're a good person. You wouldn't be listening to Z and this talk of like community eunuch. What is even that? I don't owe you vagina just because you help me put up or move my refrigerator in the house. I don't owe you vagina because you helped me lift this heavy TV into my apartment. I don't owe you anything. And quite frankly, the women are actually correct. They don't. The men know that. That's why the men ain't doing it. Huh? They know. The men know. The men know. The young men know. That's why the young men ain't doing none of it. You're actually correct. Now, Mr. Z is not necessarily about being against being a good guy, a nice guy, helping out random strangers, including women. Mr. Z is not actually against that. Mr. Z is not pro being a menace to society or being hyper selfish or super self-interested and not. No, Mr. Z is not for that. What I am saying is, what's the incentive? What I am saying is, at scale, the young men are looking and being like, absolutely not. For what? Huh? Thank you, Trench. And he says, you are right, and I don't owe physical labor for free. Thank you. And I don't owe physical labor for free. Exactly. And that's the part that's difficult for the ladies to accept, is how many men are like, but for what? Huh? For what? So I had to pause it for that, right? Unchecked female antagonism. Oh, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. Not with MJ. I'm gonna play it a little bit later, but once again, because y'all gives you a second. All right, y'all. Mr. Z's back. Y'all already know. Reckless. Now let's read this now. And Godlike says, what would FD say? I argue the left, the black left, is all about men being community, non-select men being community eunuchs, being LGBTQ, relieving some of that actual frustration, right? Like, they love that men are finding hobbies and stuff. They're not actually against men finding other things to do other than chase down women. Their problem is that you're not doing for women on the opposite end. You're not chasing down women. You're not maybe being okay with never having children or never having a long-term girlfriend or wife or any of that. And they love that. Great. But you're not going to do for them at all. So you're just going to do for the women in your family. Maybe a coworker, possibly. And maybe a friend you knew from like middle school or high school or something. That's it. You're not going to participate in community. You're not going to overextend. You're not going to overproduce. No. Huh? You're not going to hand a little $40 to one of your coworkers who's in the struggle right now. You're not going to hand her the $40 just because? No. If a black woman is being accosted, we'll say, by a white man, you just going to record? You're not even going to record? Ooh. Now, Mr. Z is not about doing that, but yeah, that's their problem. That is their problem. It's not the FDs of the world. That is their problem. It's not that you are finding other things to do with your time and you're finding other hobbies. Is that you're not participating in community. Huh? You're taking your balls and going home. And it's very childish. Mr. Z wants to know, and the problem is, huh? So yeah, and thank you for the super chat. Godlike, thank you for the super chat. And y'all gives you a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves because Z got to do this real quick. Regular streams, y'all gives you a second. And we're back. My apologies, y'all. Right? So, let's see if we can actually make it through this without Mr. Z pausing. That's going to be a little difficult. But remember, what Miss NJ is really saying is...
Nigga like me, man. I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
That's what Miss NJ is saying. Whether she realizes it or not. And the masses of women are engaging in concerning man-woman conversation. They're engaging in.
Unfortunately, when it comes to my man, I cannot take what I dish out. I be so mean to my man, but the one minute he raised his voice or even seemed like he upset with me, I just start busting out crying. Because no, you're not about to, like, no, you're not about to do that to me. No. I don't care. No, I cannot take what I dish out. No. Don't do that to me. No. I've been talking about his whole motherfucking family, cuss everybody out. But if he even say like one little thing, I will bust out in tears. Like, please don't do that. Like, please, no. I can't handle it. Like, I really can't handle it.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, competition, domination kind of attitude. The Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually looked at it from a different perspective and you said, look, what if men and women could come together and fight against an
My apologies, y'all. We're going to have to play it again. God damn it, Z. Give me a second. Continuing.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, competition, domination kind of attitude. The Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually looked at it from a different perspective and you said, look, what if men and women could come together and fight against an economy that requires people to have to exert these kind of power balances between one another, where one group holds all the power financially and the other is reliant on them. Because by the way, like, a loving and good relationship can never exist in a context of economic reliance, as far as I'm concerned, or economic dependence.
Yeah, and there is no romance without finance. Did you notice what she just did? She just exposed that women will not cooperate unless they have to. That's the whole point of the chaos we have today. Women want to have their cake and eat it too. That's why they're looking for an equal outcome instead of true equality. Where are these effinists talking about joining the draft? Since you want to fight against power imbalance, where's the outrage? These women don't reason in trade-offs. It doesn't matter what system you utilize. There will always be pros and cons. When are you going to shut up and be content? This is what this poll proves. Women can't be satisfied, and the goalpost keeps moving. Check this out.
For, I think, millennial men compared to Gen Z men, I think a lot of my single millennial women friends would be like, millennial men also suck. But like, I think that compared to Gen Z men, I think millennial men felt a little bit like, okay, I've got to kind of get on board with some of this. So I'm going to try and sort of like figure out, there sort of was more of a negotiation and a settlement. Whereas now things have become so polarized. And I think
Exactly. The results are
Shout out
in.
to Gen Z
Millennial men
men.
tried, and women showed their true colors. And guess what? Gen Z men saw those true colors. Don't you think divorcing your husband for irreconcilable differences won't have an effect on your children? Don't you think being promiscuous and prioritizing situationships leads to men not taking you seriously for a long-term relationship? So Gen Z men looked at the results and decided not to play the game.
And I don't think that we can draw a comparison between women saying, you know, I don't think I want to get married, or I don't want to be in a relationship, or I have built a life, a vision of my life that does not include a man. I don't think that's the same as the way that the manosphere talk about women. Because I think for women, it's the thing of like, look, the conditions of heterosexuality are fucked, and I'm going to build my life so that I don't have to participate in that. Whereas the manosphere is based around dominating and breaking women down. I mean, we saw it in that kind of Louis III Manosphere documentary. We've seen it when, you know, clips have come up in our news feed. So I think that
there is your expert, gentlemen.
I'm sorry, y'all. I know I said I was going to be able to maybe, possibly get through this without without pausing. We're going to try. We're going to give it a good college try after this. Okay, all right. So the double standard, right? Okay, cool. The moral high grounding. Okay, cool. The talk of domination, of course. I'm scared, the men are so scary. Talk. Okay, cool. Remember, everyone, what we are speaking about is a study that came out speaking on women hating young women hating young men, and young men not hating young women. Once again, young women hating young men, and young men not hating young women. Why does that matter? And why does it matter to have a man in the room for this conversation? Not a little weirdo, limp-wristed ass man. It's for the same reason. Remember the economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn conversation news clip that we done circulated in the black manosphere a zillion, trillion, billion times. Remember, the two women, that white woman and the very, very attractive black woman, one of y'all gonna put her name down eventually. Remember, the two men, the white man and the black man, offered pushback. That's how you get, well, I could do battle by myself at the end of that conversation. Right? She would not have shown that frustration and said that at the end of the clip if it wasn't for the two men pushing back. Because remember, the white woman tried to flip the conversation and make it a, well, no, this is because remember, the study of the economically unattractive men is leading to a downturn in marriage is about women's perspective, not men. This has nothing to do with men's insecurity about being with a woman that earns more and earns equal. Nope. But remember, that white woman tried to reframe it as if, no, you know, I think it's speaking about the men and their insecurities. No. Now, tying that to this, because this lady, Miss MJ, does not have any pushback from a man's man, she gets to flip this, recontextualize it into, well, it's not the same because the men just want to dominate. Remember, this study's about women hating men. Young women hating young men. Young women being rigid about their political views and not wanting to date a man who doesn't have the same political views. Huh? And what she does here is say it's not the same. I mean, like, it's justifiable for the ladies. I mean, like, the men are so horrible. Huh? Dominique says, I don't know if you want me to really answer this. Do the men like women, or do they like what women do for them? I don't think either one of us like who we don't like. I don't think men or women like who we don't like. If it's a person that you find attractive and you find appealing, you'll go to the ends of the earth for them. Most of us don't get a chance at that person. Oh, God damn, Z. Oh, you're hurting everybody's heart, men and women. Oh, God damn. Women, if they get lucky, that dude will pipe them and then toss them after however long. Men, if they get lucky, they're famous enough and rich enough to buy that chick before she divorces him and take half. God damn, Z, you're really in a dark place. Huh? Some of us get lucky and you that and she that. And you all of that and she all of that. And y'all end up with together and it's you know, sunshine and daisies. Shout out to Uncle Ruckus. What he said? Cinnamon and daisies? Cinnamon and daisies, I think. Oh, my mic is messed up? Oh, no, that's not good. Y'all gives you a second. Let's see something. Let me see. How are we doing now? All right. Hopefully y'all can hear me now. I don't know how messed up my mic was earlier. It's good. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hopefully y'all were able to hear what I said earlier. He was going to roll. Oh, man. Anyway, going back to Dominique's question. That gives you a second. And Dominique says, do the men like women, or do they like what women do for them? I think both men and women like what the opposite sex do for them. I think you like who you like. Right? You like who you like, and your mind will convince you that this person is doing far more for you than they actually are. That's where the emotions come in. When really all they're giving you is, if you're lucky, orgasms and being there, their presence. If you're lucky. I think human beings are, if not socialized and raised the right way, can be very selfish. And we like what the other person does for us. And if you're lucky, you like the other person. If you're super lucky, you love the other person. If you're insanely lucky, you're in love with the person. If you are insanely lucky, this is like you winning everything. You won the billionaire Powerball. You like them, love them, and you're in love with them. Oh, wait for it, and they like you, love you, and is in love with you. Oh, y'all winning. Y'all gonna conquer the world. No? Oh, man. And Dominique says, or could the disparity be explained by the idea that women are commiserating over bad experiences and the men don't have any? No, the men have bad experiences. The fundamental difference, I would argue, with men and women is that women are being sold that you could get another one, or it's better to be single. I think you got to look at the meta. You got to look at the era that we're in, right? Remember, Grand didn't like Granddad all the time. She probably never liked Granddad, maybe. But she stayed. The struggle was real. She stayed. And she made it happen. And she cried real tears when he passed. Those weren't fake tears. Those were real tears. And it wasn't only about the stability. It wasn't only about the money. What you have now is that the women are commiserating about bad experiences or maybe no experiences. That's something I think we minimize too much, is that many of these young women don't have, they're getting into their mid, maybe late 20s, and they don't got no experiences. You got a handful of women, and even more of them, who all they know is situationship. All they know is the little 6-9 month smash session. And they went this year and they had a little situationship, and then next year they had another one with another dude, and then next year they had another one with another dude. Then they got angry and did they celibate thing for a couple years. Now they back on the market and they got a little another situationship. Huh? I call it freestyling. I forgot what Coach Greg Adams said. Call it. But yes, the women are commiserating with each other on bad experiences. And they're encouraging each other to blow up relationships. If they don't encourage each other to blow up relationships, they definitely don't check each other when the other one's saying, yeah, I think I'm going to end this. Girl, for what? He's this, he's that, he do this for you. That's not happening. Maybe if he's a billionaire or something, or tall and super good looking or whatever. Huh? Fundamentally, what you have is an entire society and other women that never tell this woman, I don't know if you want to do that. Huh? Dominique says, the women do labor, physical and emotional, and the men do more physical labor and emotional labor also. Maybe not as much. I'll even debate with y'all and say not as much, not in the black community. The black men, I would say, do more emotional labor, but nobody want to have that conversation. And anyway, what is happening is that we're minimizing the emotional labor of men concerning women. We're not even minimizing it. We're speaking as if men don't engage in no emotional labor, because the women are not on antidepressant pills. Oh, goddamn. They're perfectly mentally and emotionally stable, aren't they? Whoops. Huh? Uh-oh. They don't have record high rates of depression. Nope. Single, married, it don't matter. They're not a ball of confusion. They're not impossible. Y'all want to know why women are DVing the hell out of each other in them same-sex loving relationships? Huh? Well, damn. The men are engaging, especially in the black community, and just as much emotional labor. I said it earlier, the technocrats, the elites, and the women got this weird thing going where the women get to be, woe is me, And the elites are like, oh, there. He has you doing all of that, and he's just a little stone cold asshole with no feelings and no emotions. See, if we're talking about white men, maybe you can have that conversation. But if you're talking about black men, none of that applies. That doesn't apply to black men. These wayward, mean, snarky, rude, temperamental black women. Y'all trying to tell me black men are not engaging in emotional labor and they're attached to black women? Where? Huh? Wayward ass black women? What happens when black women get in a relationship with other black women? It'd be Royal Rumble in that goddamn house, apartment, condo, car. Ooh. Huh? Well, damn. So yeah, Dominique. Yeah. Continuing, let's actually see if we can get through this.
Because I think that kind of what we've done is we have pushed men into this, like, and what these kind of like a lot of these influences and this manosphere thing has done is it has taken this antipathy and brokenness and alienation that I think people across the genders of all genders are experiencing, and pushing it into a like dog eat dog, you know, competition, domination kind of attitude. You know, Jordan Peterson would probably have a similar diagnosis to me in terms of the economics of why we're in the situation that we're in. But his argument is, okay, well, the way that we deal with that is we just take away women's economic independence and we make them reliant financially on men again, so that they have to marry and they have to be in relationships with men in order to be able to survive. When obviously, if you actually looked at it from a different perspective and you said, look, what if men and women could come together and fight against an economy that requires people to have to exert these kind of power balances between one another, where, you know, one group holds all the power financially and the other is reliant on them. Because, by the way, like, a loving and good relationship can never exist in a context of economic reliance, as far as I'm concerned, or economic dependence.
Yeah, and there is no romance without finance. Did you notice what she just did? She just exposed that women will not cooperate unless they have to. That's the whole point of the chaos we have today. Women want to have their cake and eat it too. That's why they're looking for an equal outcome instead of true equality. Where are these feminists talking about joining the draft? Since you want to fight against power imbalance, where's the outrage? These women don't reason in trade-offs. It doesn't matter what system you utilize. There will always be pros and cons. When are you going to shut up and be content? This is what this poll proves. Women can't be satisfied, and the goalpost keeps moving. Check this out.
For, I think, millennial men compared to Gen Z men, you know, I think a lot of my single millennial women friends would be like, millennial men also suck. But like, I think that compared to Gen Z men, I think millennial men felt a little bit like, okay, I've got to kind of get on board with some of this. So I'm going to try and sort of like figure out, there sort of was more of a negotiation and a settlement. Whereas now things have become so polarized. And I think
Exactly. The results are in. Millennial men tried, and women showed their true colors. And guess what? Gen Z men saw those true colors. Don't you think divorcing your husband for irreconcilable differences won't have an effect on your children? Don't you think being promiscuous and prioritizing situationships leads to men not taking you seriously for a long-term relationship? So Gen Z men looked at the results and decided not to play the game.
And I don't think that we can draw a comparison between women saying, you know, I don't think I want to get married, or I don't want to be in a relationship, or I have built a life, a vision of my life that does not include a man. I don't think that's the same as the way that the manosphere talk about women. Because I think for women, it's the thing of like, look, the conditions of heterosexuality are fucked, and I'm going to build my life so that I don't have to participate in that. Whereas the manosphere is based around dominating and breaking women down. I mean, we saw it in that kind of Louis III manosphere documentary. We've seen it when, you know, clips have come up in our news feed. So I think that
there is your expert, gentlemen. She literally based her opinion of the manosphere on that lame Netflix documentary and clips she saw on the news. There you go. Mission accomplished. Scapegoat created. Substance dismissed. Just like that. And this research confirms exactly what she's doing. Watch this.
Yes, I mean, I think men and women are looking at very, very different internets now, young men and young women. Like the women I spoke to said they were worried about what the men were looking at online. They're worried about, you know, Andrew Tates and people like that.
This is why feminism and modern women in general are taking L's every day, because they just keep proving the manosphere right. This poll proves that the manosphere doesn't even lead to young boys hating women. It's clearly the women who are the misandrists in this scenario. Watching content that ridicules and vilifies men without logic. Even the experts suck. This is embarrassing.
One woman admitted to having male friends but was worried that it would make her pick me. Like, I don't think that that's a general view amongst young women. I think that is something that, you know, was kind of very specifically picked out from like a university feminist society group.
So keep watching closely, gentlemen. Collapse is coming. You're witnessing the final stage of the mouse utopia. Women are radicalizing. Men are opting out. Birth rates are crashing. There's a loneliness epidemic. And the media's answer? Blame the manosphere. But here's the good news. We are not mice. We can see the pattern. We can choose differently. We can build even when the culture is burning down around us. So don't lose hope. Just lose the illusion that feminism ever cared about equality. It cared about power. And now that they have it, they're still not happy. That's not our problem to solve. That's their buyer's remorse. Listen to all. Follow none.
And once again, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Okay. Y'all saw the little card trick she pulled at the end, right? Where they spoke about the young lady that said she don't want to feel like a pick-me and she has male friends and she's afraid of being called pick-me. Okay. You see how she kind of tosses that to the side like it's, no, that's nothing. I don't know. That's boilerplate. Okay. Appreciate that that is a young lady saying that the women, other women, are pressuring her to engage in the gender war. Why are you friends with random men anyway? Huh? The women are pressuring her to engage in the gender war. The bully term for them is pick me. And you can see Miss MJ is so disingenuous. She won't even acknowledge that that's a thing. She's engaged. She gonna be okay, at least for how many years? Appreciate how selfish it is to all the Gen Z women and young millennial women listening. Appreciate how selfish women like Miss MJ, they are. Appreciate how selfish they are. She is engaged. She's off the market for however long she's going to be off the market. But she's condemning you to a lifetime of solitude, rose toys, and coping mechanisms, rom-coms, and whatever the hell y'all going to do. Huh? Being a little sexual plaything for the lead dudes, y'all swear going to settle down with y'all eventually. Debatable, not. Huh? So appreciate how egregious what she is doing is for your life. We cover things like this once again. Unchecked female antagonism. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. We cover things like this because the allies are doing too much talking. Western society is going to hell in a handbasket. Population decline, right? And what I'm emphasizing here is the women's complicity in that. White women, black women, Latina women, Asian women in Western society, and their complicity. They're the elite women, the technocrat women, the talking heads and pundits and commentators are perfectly okay, whether they realize it or not, with being the buffer class for the elite men that want the population to go to crap. Not all of the elite men want that, right? But for the elite men that do, that's where MJ and her ilk come in. And Destro says, 4 more likes to make 100 total. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Y'all doing me greasy today. Huh? And Dominique says, none of this is men's fault. What men? And what fault? What I'm saying is that we have our personal experiences with one another. And however we register that is how we register it. Right? When you have men saying, you know, I ain't gonna deal with this, I ain't gonna do that again, and when you have women doing that, women currently are the only ways, at least that we know, at least mainstream currently acceptable. Children come through women's portal. Children come through women. Women have staged a jihad, shout out to Trell Bentley, against average men, which you fundamentally have, and I need you to really sit with this, Dominic, is average women not wanting to be with average men. They're saying it, they're showing it. Most of us are average in looks, in income, in status, in intellect, etc. And what you have are average women having contempt for their class and social position, economic position, and saying, well, if I can't move upward, then damn it to hell. And damn it to hell includes the man and the kids. So when you ask me, none of it is men's fault. Which part of what I just said is men's fault? Do you have wayward men? Yes. Will they always be with you? Absolutely. Is that why the birth rate went to crap? No. Huh? I want you to appreciate, Dominique, the fundamental tide change that happened when Kevin Samuels became popular. You had a couple of decades of, once again, unchecked female antagonism, particularly in the Black community, before Kevin Samuels. And Dominique, have you ever seen any of those clips of Kevin Samuels talking to a myriad of different women, particularly Black women? What you saw was women who never, ever, ever got their delusions checked, got their weirdo ideas, standards, and whatever criteria ever questioned. And especially not by a competent man, competent Black man. And you saw Kevin Samuels summarily Zorro sword their head right off their shoulders, night after night, conversation after conversation. It didn't matter if she was educated or not. It didn't matter light skin, dark skin, slim, heavy set, smart, dumb. Huh? Money, no money. What you saw was Black woman after Black woman after Black woman after Black woman. That is what your average Black man is running into. The women that called into Kevin Samuels, the women that call into Ashley Dalton, the women that call into Kendra G. Those are your everyday women, educated or not. I got my PhD. It don't matter. Huh? And Eric Denman says, 2 more likes, please. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Huh? And the Arena Revive says, Dominique is concern trolling. You're way too patient. But I actually want to say these things. I appreciate that. I realize that, the Arena Revive, and thank you for that. But these things got to get out anyway. And it's good to show my bona fides when she asks me a random question and I'm able to kind of freestyle and answer it, hopefully in a good way. Hopefully I showed some talent and some promise. All right. So that's important. So none of this is men's fault. Your average man is getting relationships blown up, divorces left. 70% of divorces are filed by women, 90% of she's college educated. You don't think there's anything wrong with the ladies? And 90% of their college educated, richer men are less likely to get divorced? Way, way less likely. And when women are the ones who file for 70% of divorces, once again, correlation is not causation in this case, though. Billionaire and millionaire men married at 70 some odd, 80 some odd percent. Millionaire men, over 2/3 of them never get divorced, or 2/3 of millionaires never get divorced. Maybe not just the men, but still. And you think it's because those men are so much more emotionally intelligent and so much more attentive and so much. No, it's the money. The women, average women, are blowing up relationships because in their mind, there's no incentive. And contrary to popular belief, it's for a myriad of reasons. It's not that didn't pick up after himself. It's not, no. Huh? Huh? And KMS says, stop explaining. Thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And I didn't forget about you, Leon. I'm going up there in a minute. Pause. And KMS says, stop explaining ish to yitches. They live to play in the ninja's face. True. They know. Hashtag wasted emotional labor. Wasted emotional labor. I got a whole lot to give out. But yeah, no, it's good that I answer these just in case there's any other random women listening. I did get an email months and months ago at this point, months and months ago, of a young lady. And I've gotten a couple of emails from women. One gave me a few on the Medium. She gave me an article to read. I actually read it and I went down the rabbit hole of that author. And they do talk, and I guess because of Mr. Z, who used to be known as the Swirler Divester guy, covering that stuff. So it's a young lady who speaks about Black women, white men relations and how toxic they are and toxic it can be. So she looked like she got burned, the author of that. So I went down that hole. It was another Black young lady who told me she listens to my content and she doesn't want nothing to do with these type of women. So there are women who listen occasionally. I get like 0.9% on a stream, 1.5% if I'm lucky, right? I think it actually went up to 2.5% in the stream not too long ago. It might be long ago at this point, but yeah. So no, it's okay, KMS. Look, man, if I gain at least one or two, so let's say I have a stream that gets 1,200 views, having 10, 12 women listen, 20 women listen, that ain't bad, right? 10, 12, 20, 25 women listened, Yeah. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, KMS. Thank you for the super chat. Right. So before we get to Leon, and y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Remember today we are saying what now?
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Because that is what the ladies are actually saying with their antagonistic asses. And talk about antagonism, one of our favorites off of Instagram, who I've been covering a lot lately, Bun Me. What did Bun Me have to say with her little grin smile? Huh? What antagonism is Bun Me coming to us with today? Oh boy. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat.
One thing I think about a lot is how the female body is designed for sexual pleasure and the male body is designed for reproduction. Women have an entire organ dedicated to nothing but feeling sexual pleasure. Clitoris exists for no other reason other than to feel stimulation. The same cannot be said for the male body. Every time a man ejaculates, he gives off millions of sperm, of genetic material, which means that his sole purpose for having sex is reproduction. Like, that is his sexual purpose. He was not designed to have sex just for pleasure. That is not true for women. When women orgasm, women give off no genetic material. A woman can orgasm every day for the rest of her life, never risk conceiving. That is not true for men. Every time a man orgasms, he's at risk of getting someone pregnant. Female body produces genetic material once a month, 12 times a year, in a very short window. The window is so short. Honestly, I don't even know how most people get pregnant for real. Like, a woman only produces 100 eggs in her entire lifetime, whereas men are literally jacking off millions of sperm, just millions of genetic material every day. Because their purpose in life is to reproduce. Women's purpose in life is to feel pleasure. And this is why patriarchy is so insidious, because it has inverted the natural. Releasing women's sexuality when women are the only ones who have a biological claim to sexual pleasure without reproduction is crazy. Imagine saying that women aren't supposed to be promiscuous or women aren't supposed to go out and have sexual pleasure or explore sexuality when the female body is quite literally designed to explore sexual pleasure. Patriarchy is deep, man. Like, it really is. It's so deep that you can't even, like, where does it start? Where does it begin? Who discovered this first and then decided that women need to be shackled and chained? And that's how you know that procreation was always meant to be optional for women. It was never meant to be a sentence. Women were never designed to give birth. That's clearly not what the female design is about. If it was, then every time a woman had sex,
then she would be able to get pregnant. Like, if that was the truth, right? It would operate the exact same way the male body does, but it doesn't. Because women were not put here to be baby-making machines in any way or any shape or form. We're not sent here to raise children or be wives or to take care of men. It's very clear from our biological design. So that's a little bit of perspective for you.
And so appreciate the reverse that she's engaging in here. The women in her comment section for this video understood exactly what she was doing. They understood, right? And the mocking ass tone and the, oh, that's what y'all saying about us men? Watch this. I can say it. See, y'all are the ones who are supposed to have kids because look, you have millions of sperm and you're the one who's like, it's like a loaded pistol. You're the one who can get a woman pregnant at any time. And so it's literally reversing what you've heard many men say about women and their reproductive organs and et cetera, et cetera. And so Bun Me is trying to be a little smart aleck and flip the script. And the women in her comments was like, oh, I like this perspective, girl. Yawn. Once again, unchecked female antagonism. We appreciate, and if y'all understand what Mr. Z is about to say here, we're going to take it slow. We appreciate why Bun Me sounds the way she does. Huh? I'm not going to say nothing else. We know why Bun Me sounds the way she does. Huh? It sounds good. Huh? As I said before, unchecked female antagonism. They get off on this. They jizz their panties to this because they're not jizzing their panties to their ideal man because he ain't checking. Oops. Huh? They jizz their panties to this. This is a prime example of what Mr. Z was saying before. This is Bun Me and her followers on Instagram doing this little weird ass dance where she's saying a little antagonistic, messed up, misandrous thing without claiming misandry. And she's saying it for herself. She's saying it for her viewers. That her viewers, who are not as articulate, who may not be as intelligent, they're loving her take. They're loving what she's saying. So they're both being fed. No? They're both being fed. And it's all coke talk. Remember, how many videos does Bun Me have about desirability politics? She may not call it that. It's a lot of coke coming from women, particularly black women, darker skinned women, women who don't have a shape that more black men would find conventionally attractive. And imagine being an air quotes pro-black woman who's not really into white men, and then the black men you are into are not into you. To be fair to you, how many people, particularly black women, how many people, namely women, namely black women, have the gumption, the gall, and the audacity to say what Obsidian said, right, years ago when being interviewed by Dr. T. Hassan Johnson? What did Obsidian say when he was interviewed by Dr. T. Hassan Johnson? The women I wanted didn't want me, and the women who wanted me I didn't want. How many women, namely black women, have the gumption, the temerity, the audacity, the gall to say, look, I don't have the looks for the men I want. That's why I keep on throwing an adult temper tantrum. Because it's not fair.
That's not fair. That's not fair! That is not fair!
Huh? The men who are interested in me are bums and losers or unattractive or, you know, lesser, and then they don't have the class or the tact or they don't have the emotion, and I don't want to be regulated to that. And the men that I think are on my level, they might have some fun with me after 3 o'clock in the morning, but they're not taking me seriously. So I'm just going to produce content on the internet and talk crap about men all day and intellectualize it. Huh? Huh? How many? Exactly. Excalibur says they ain't got the ovaries to say that, and they don't. It's just little bitter betties on the internet intellectualizing their anger and their resentment and not being chosen by who they want to be chosen by. Then they told you about decenter man and the male gaze, G-A-Z-E, everyone. Not doing anything for the express pleasure of men, etc., etc. And so shout out to Bun Me for engaging in this little antagonistic, little mocking ass video. Gave me something to cover. Shout out to you, Bun Me. Sales Actor says the square root of 0 is your answer, Z. The square root of 0 is 0. I hear you. Huh? And shout out to Bun Me. And you see that's what all those videos from about what 3-4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, where the women were saying, but no, the men are the ones with the biological clock, because as they age, their sperm becomes less viable, and it's more likely that they're the ones who are going to produce the children that come out, with a little issue. It's because of the men. The men are the ones who's aging out the game. They're the ones with the biological clock. All that was coping and antagonism. Once again, unchecked female antagonism. That was women on the internet coping. There's been a lot of coping talk over the past decade or so on the internet concerning women. They're all coping. You think all of these women never wanted kids? You think all of them never wanted to get married? No. Just like what Tracy Ellis Ross told you on an interview years ago. What was that, 3 years ago at this point, maybe? It's more than 2 years ago. It might have been 2, 3, 4 years ago, when she was talking to one of these white ladies, and she said being around the LGBTQ, they gave her coping mechanisms and a different way to see herself. They're all looking for coping mechanisms. Oh, I didn't really want that anyway. Oh, I was young and naive when I wanted that. You know what? I was pressured into wanting that. Society made me want that. The men made me want that. It's television. Huh? It's the way we raise girls. I never wanted to be married and have kids. Huh? I'm not boy crazy. See, the movies and the music and the TV shows and the print media, they make you boy crazy. See, if it wasn't for all of those things, it's the elite men, it's the men. If it wasn't for the men, we wouldn't be boy crazy. It's all cope talk. It's all coping. It is all coping. And that's what Bun Me's engaging in. That's what all the women in her comment section for that video, that's what they're engaging in. It's all coping. The women are psyching themselves out to prepare for a lifetime of potentially never having a husband, maybe not even a long-term boyfriend, let alone a husband, and potentially never having children. So they're psyching themselves out by saying, you can't fire me, I quit. Translation, I never wanted it anyway. No? Man. And the Arena Revive says, remember that pearl clutching when Ron Isley had a kid at 63? Right? Not Mr. Fur Coat. Well, no, what was that chinchilla that he was wearing? Was it the verses or was that an interview? I can't remember, but yeah. And, right? Not Mr. You were conceived to that and then you conceived kids to him. Ron Isley's been making R&B and slow music for how long now? How long have the Isley brothers been making music? They're responsible for at least 3 generations of kids. At least. Right? And once again, the Arena Revive says, remember that pearl clutching when Ron Isley had a kid at 63? The kid just graduated from high school, and OG was alive to see it, see? Exactly. Excalibur says Al Pacino had a kid at 80. Huh? Detro says since the 50s. That's at least 3-4 generations, bro, of kids. Kids produced to the Isley brothers in the background. No? Now, have we heard stories of the odd 50-some-odd-year-old, potentially even 60-year-old that had a kid?
Yes, it happens from women. One-off 53-year-old, 50-something-year-old. I think I even heard a 73-year-old at one point, if I remember correctly. Is there like anomalies, biological anomalies, or like with modern science mixed with the biological anomaly? This happens. It happens. It's not a thing, though. It's not a thing. Huh? And El Zacto says, one trip to the village in Africa will shake the feminist ground they walk on. Look, that's why the ladies have such a problem with passport bros. And that's why they're trying to develop all of these feminists, whatever the hells, in all of these developing nations. They're frightened because, let's be clear, the women want to break you, but they don't want you to leave. In their mind, for the real storm down feminists, it's their time to rule, and it's your time to do what they say. They're talking egalitarian and equality, but what they really mean is misandry, matriarchy, gynocracy. They talk in egalitarian because they've been fed a steady stream of feminist language for decades. When you parse through the feminist language and put their back to the wall and see what they're really talking about, and tell them what at least on paper the feminists said and this equality that's supposed to come with feminism in the end of patriarchy, the women ain't going. They're not going. Thank you, no heroes, supremacy. The women not going when you put their back to the wall and you say, hey, you know you can't take for granted a man earning more than you. It don't matter what he does domestically, emotional labor. You can't take that for granted no more. You can't take for granted he's going to be taller than you, stronger than you. You can't take for granted that he's not more invested in his looks than you are. Huh? You can't take for granted he doesn't have more clothes than you do. You can't take for granted he's more of a spendthrift than you are. The ladies can't take it in mass. They can't. You get one-off outlier over here. You can't take for granted he's going to be a man of few words and you're going to be the talkative one. You can't take that for granted. And when you say that to ladies, you can't take for granted he's going to be stoic and let you bark and yell and scream and he's just going to take it. The women can't take that. And every once in a while, they'll say it.
Fortunately, when it comes to my man, I cannot take what I dish out. I be so mean to my man, but the one minute he raised his voice or even seemed like he upset with me, I just start busting out crying. Because no, you're not about to, like, no, you're not about to do that to me. No. I don't care. No, I cannot take what I dish out. No. Don't do that to me. No. I've been talking about his whole motherfucking family, cuss everybody out. But if he even say like one little thing, I will bust out in tears. Like, please don't do that. Like, please, no. I can't handle it. Like, I really can't handle it.
Oh boy. All right. When Bunmi speaks and when other antagonistic asshole women speak, they get a rush from that. They're sticking it to the man, pause. They're sticking it to black men. They're reacting and responding and reacting and responding back. Right? To whatever sexism they think is being dealt on this side of the conversation. Exactly. And Telescope says they want the benefits of reverse gender roles, but not the liabilities. Ding, 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 ding. So let me read some of these super chats. And KMS says 100 months equal roughly 8.33 years, right? Equals 100 eggs. Stupid. KMS, even if the math is wrong, let's say, okay, women got, give or take to be viable, they really got 15 years, no, more like maybe 17 years. Let's say 13 to 30 is 90% of the eggs. And then last quarter, they got another, if they super lucky, they get another third of them, they get another 15 years. So up to 45, but then the shop is closed after 45 for the masses of women. So you have, if you're lucky, stupid, dumb lucky, you get like, what, 31, 32 years? We're not talking. I'm giving them the whole run, everyone. I'm being extremely generous to all the brothers saying, no, Z, it ain't that long. I'm being stupid, dumb generous, everyone. Let's say she hit puberty 12, 13, 14. We're going to start it at 13. We're going to run it up to 45, 32 years. Huh? No, I didn't. Chaos says, Z, you saw Dr. Thunder's live stream? No, I didn't see it. I'll check it out. 32 years. Now, boys and men hit puberty maybe a year later. So let's say he hit puberty 14 years old. And he run it up until death. Oh. Until death. Not until 45, not until 50, not until 55, until death. Huh? So KMS, even if we could give them all 32 years. Crap, Mr. Z will give them 37 years. We'll say 50. Z, oh my God, Z, that they're not going all the way to 50. I know. We'll give them 37 years. Ladies, first of all, this is a weird argument. It feels weird making this argument. This is where we go with antagonism, and so that the ladies could feel better about the economic state, about their own hypergamy, about their own misandry, about them attempting to institute a gynocracy, a matriarchy, but then call it egalitarianism. Egalitarian. This is how far we're going with the conversation, but fine. This is weird. All of this is cloak talk. And that's what Bun Me was engaging in. Shout out to Pastor OG who covered this some months ago. That's what the women that were engaging in the no men are the ones with biological clock. John, unchecked female antagonism, once again to the title.
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Just saying. And Detroit says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Somebody go ask Al Pacino. These dudes is having kids in their 60s, 70s, 80s. Having a child. No science needed. No science needed. For me, it's not even about antagonizing the women. It's about saying to the ladies, you antagonizing the men, the young men, is coping and it don't work. Because the elite men don't hear nothing you're talking about. They don't care what you're talking about. They live in their life and piping y'all anyway. And the everyday man, who you're making fun of and mocking, some of them are at home doing their thing. Some of them are outside. Some of them getting, you allowing them to pipe too. It don't matter what you're talking about. Huh? Wow. Detroit, Al Pacino and the rest of them having their children in their 60s, mid-60s, 70s, 80 years old is a testament to the ladies are just coping, man. And you're going to see that. You see that with what's the lady name? YV Edit, the white girl I covered a little while ago. Sovereign Black woman or Sovereign woman, whatever her name is. You see that with Bun Me. You see that with a bunch of these little weirdos. It's just coping talk. This antagonized man. We're gonna give women rage bait content to listen to, and this is gonna make them feel better for all of them that are single. From my understanding, YV Edit is married. And you know, even what you saw with this MJ lady, it's a big yawn fest for Z. Because they're not saying nothing. Your average woman got to come out here and work her 20 some odd, 30 some odd, 40 some odd, well, 40 hours a week, get her little BS paycheck and try to stretch that, giggity, try to stretch that until the next 2 weeks, the next week. She barely making it. She not making it. Your average woman, namely your average Black woman. And so they listen to this stuff as cope. She over here trying to bum off a few dollars from this guy or that guy, her parents. Maybe if she could get a couple of dollars from a homegirl. That's what's going on. And thank you for the super chat, Detroit. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see if we can finally get to Leon's super chat. That was forever ago. And Leon says, and thank you for the super chat, Ninja Z, Black Beyond Ninja Island, Nomics time. I'm a little lost on the comment, but that was forever ago. My apologies, Leon. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Look, I see what you're saying. Look, yes, I'll be on Negro Island time. Y'all know why. Don't put it in the comments. Don't put it in the comments. Yeah. Look, for y'all to get these regular streams, we got to make sure that the timing is right. If you get what Mr. Z is saying, then you get it. Don't put it in the comments. We're going to leave it there. Thank you. Right. And Adam says, coping, lies, plus age, misuse opportunities, plus anger, regret, equal liabilities. Say that. That's the math. That's the social math. Adam over here doing the social math. Huh? Adam's doing the social math. Thank you for doing the social math, Adam. Huh? Exactly. Exactly. And so on that note, y'all, I ain't gonna keep y'all too much longer. So remember that this whole stream, unchecked female antagonism, because
Nigga like me, man. I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
that's the ladies. Also the ladies.
Unfortunately, when it comes to my man, I cannot take what I dish out. I be so mean to my man, but the one minute he raised his voice or even seemed like he upset with me, I just start busting out crying. Because no, you're not about to, like, no, you're not about to do that to me. No. I don't care. No, I cannot take what I dish out. No. Don't do that to me. No. I've been talking about his whole motherfucking family, cuss everybody out. But if he even say like one little thing, I will bust out in tears. Like, please don't do that. Like, please, no. I can't handle it. Like, I really can't handle it.
And that's not individual women. That's not simply individual women speaking about their individual boyfriends or husbands or relationships with men. That is women in mass in the West, in America, in Black America, speaking about men in mass in the West, in America, in Black America. And on that note, everyone, we will truly pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, for the love of God. And Mr. Z out. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
You are now listening to Mr. Z Blackneffect.